A top AEW star has been pulled from tonight's Dynamite. Plus, AEW are entering a tricky promotional partnership. And we have an update on a WWE talent's backstage role. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling news right now. So we weren't sure whether or not he was going to be cleared in time. We can give you an update now on Samy Guevara. He took a bump at Wrestle Dream and got concussed as a result. He shared a tweet yesterday that gave us an update on his status for tonight.
He did. He said, good news, bad news. The bad news is I'm not cleared yet. Good news, every day I'm feeling better. Sorry, Houston, I really wanted to put on a show for y'all. Hopefully next time. Also, F Chris Jericho.
F Chris Jericho indeed.
I was wondering, me and Ross speculated on Monday's news video that hopefully Samy would be able to make some sort of appearance, even if he didn't do anything physical, just because he's a Houston boy and it's in his hometown or just on the outskirts, I believe. And it would be a nice moment for him, but maybe he's not ready for that. It's a shame.
It's a shame. He shared a photo as well of either getting checked for signs of concussion or playing the Total Immersion video game Guns of Navarone.
Okay.
I'll let you decide and have a little tip of the hat if you get that reference. Congratulations. All being well, Samy Guevara will be back soon. We obviously send him nothing but the very best. AEW, meanwhile, are entering some new ground in terms of working with other promotions, and it is a partnership that has been described by Dave Meltzer, to put it lightly, as tricky.
Yeah.
Tricky. What's he said, and who is it with?
It's between AEW and CMLL. This all got sparked by the announcement, I believe, of Mystico appearing in AEW, and everybody went, he's a CMLL boy. But they've worked with AAA talent previously, and they're the two biggest promotions in Mexico. Meltzer weighs in on this with a bit of detail, saying, this is not just Mystico coming to AEW, this is the beginning of a relationship. CMLL sent out a release talking about the start of the partnership with AEW, and it's a real tricky thing, because AEW is working with AAA and CMLL, and they hate each other. The guys will not be able to work in the same match. That will not happen. They're probably going to have guys on the same card, which CMLL hates that, but Meltzer thinks that AAA will live with that, and AAA is not going to do anything to jeopardize this relationship with AEW anyway. But in the case of CMLL, it'll be interesting because they hate AAA, and they don't want their guys around AAA wrestlers.
Do you think Tony Khan just craves violence?
Maybe.
It's like CM Punk's gone, it's boring around here.
Yeah.
I've got an idea. This is getting things hot.
I didn't realize that this was such a. And I knew they were both.
Yeah.
I knew they were both the biggest promotions in Mexico. I knew that CMLL was the oldest promotion in the world. But I said to Matthew once, just offhand, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm more of a CMLL boy, me." And then he went, "No, I'm AAA." I was like, all right, Matthew.
You didn't speak for weeks after, did you?
No. We weren't allowed to be in the same videos. Well, I would have been fine with that, but Matthew wouldn't have liked. No, I'm joking.
I'll be intrigued to see where this goes. We know that relationship stopped, for example, Andrade competing at Forbidden Door on a few occasions. And so I like that we're trying to sort of bring them together, sort of, Tony Khan trying to sort of maybe bring peace in the valley between the sides. I mean, again, craves violence, that man does. Craves violence.
That's what I want to see, like the next big sort of wrestling documentary, because this is an issue which I know very little about, and I'd like to learn the history between the two promotions and why they hate each other so much. I really want that.
Let's get on that like a car bonnet. Let's do it. NXT Halloween Havoc.
No, I can't. I don't know anything about it.
Well, that's what we do. We are broadcasters, and we are.
I can't learn things.
We can't learn things.
I can't learn new things. I don't know things.
Everything in my brain is full. It's been full for 40 years. I can tell you the layout of the level select sheet for Sonic 2.
Okay.
I won't now.
No.
But I could. But I can't learn new things. That's ridiculous.
New things now.
Ridiculous. I can tell you that NXT Halloween Havoc starts next week. We got 2 days worth of Halloween-based goodness. So next Tuesday and then the Tuesday after, we've got the main events for both.
Yes, Becky Lynch will defend her NXT Women's Championship against fellow Irish woman Lyra Valkyria on night 1. She's somebody that NXT seem to have been interested in pushing for a while. And as a result of winning a triple threat match last week, Carmelo Hayes will get his rematch for that NXT Championship he lost to Ilya Dragunov. That's going to be on night 2.
2 bangers there.
Yes, absolutely.
Really great story with Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. Becky sort of scouting Lyra many years ago as one to watch. Another Irish-born star. They're just gonna take the opportunity and run with it. And Hayes and Dragunov have just had a fabulous series.
Yeah, they've had a great feud, and also I'm really enjoying the not only the feud between those two themselves, but all the bits around it as well. Specifically, specifically Carmelo's relationship with Trick Williams and the underlying jealousy or the lack of it, like are they drifting apart? And I really enjoy that because it's not been too overstated for an NXT storyline, especially. It's actually been a little bit subtle, and I quite like that.
The subtlety is a thing. Now, let's move over to Impact, where we're saying farewell to PCO this week. I'm gutted about this.
Yeah, this comes from a PW Insider report, and apparently his final appearances are expected to be this weekend.
He's just keen to go and try other things, do other things.
He's
broaden his horizons.
Done enough things.
The thing is with this, right? Impact Wrestling have this wonderful history of when someone leaves, they kill them off.
Yeah, they really do.
How are they going to write off PCO? He's been electrocuted. He's been forced to drink like breaker fluid. He's been hit by multiple cars. How are you going to kill off PCO? I can't wait to find out, Impact.
They're going to have to explode him or something. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Oh, he explodes.
Yeah. Oh, maybe he just turns up in a suit and a tie and goes, I'm off, guys. See you later.
It's really formal. Yes, my contract is completed. Yeah. And off I go.
Picks up his briefcase, hails a cab, and off he goes.
Off into the sunset. Yeah. Impact have announced the first few matches for Turning Points, which comes on after Bound for Glory. Impact presenting their show from the Walker Dome in Newcastle. They've announced that Will Ospreay will face Eddie Edwards. Certainly first time in Impact. I think first time ever.
This could well be the first time ever. I can't, off the top of my head, think about another time that they've had a match together.
And interesting one, Subculture facing the team of Josh Alexander and Eric Young.
Catch me in the Walker Dome, depending on where this match is in the card. Catch me X amount of drinks deep, furiously cheering on Subculture. I love those boys.
They're lovely boys.
They are fantastic boys.
Interesting match setup, though, because obviously Josh Alexander is headlining Bound for Glory this Saturday.
Yeah.
Does this telegraph that he might not leave as champion, or is this a match that they've put on there so they could potentially change it up if need be?
I don't think it necessarily telegraphs anything, because I think even if Josh Alexander had just won at Bound for Glory, he wouldn't necessarily get straight into another title match for Turning Point. They could well have him as champion in this tag team match, but we'll have to wait and see. Eric Young as well, to see him on the card is fantastic.
It'd be nice to see him. Oh yeah, and Tom Campbell will be ringing out for the tour, etc.
Absolutely.
Forgot about that part. I haven't checked if I'm free yet. I think the in-laws are coming round. Get your tickets I will be there. Don't. I've been booked in it. I will be. That was a joke. Yeah. The in-laws can wait. I will be there. Get tickets for the entire UK Invasion tour. Night 1 in Coventry is sold out. Ski was sold out in Cov night 1. Night 2 still available. Plus Glasgow and the Walker Dome in Newcastle. You might even see some of the Cultaholic lads knocking about at the Walker Dome,
creeping around like Sting in the rafters. Look up. We're just there. If someone tries to attack you, we'll wire down and rescue you and back up.
That's a promise.
Yeah.
That's a Cultaholic guarantee.
You mentioned that Bound for Glory is the week before.
Yes.
And you'll be helping people prep for Turning Point, I'm sure.
It's a prep for them and a prep for me.
Right.
So we're doing live reactions to Bound for Glory Saturday night on the Cultaholic YouTube channel. So if you fancy watching Bound for Glory with me, you can come and join me for that as we get psyched to the UK Invasion tour.
I'm really excited, and I'm pleased that because Impact has been one of the kind of sneakily very consistent promotions in the wrestling world over the past few years. They're one of the only promotions I can even think of that handled the pandemic about as well as they could and kept things level. And now to see them coming to the UK is fantastic. I can't wait.
Buzzing for it. Speaking of UK talent getting their just desserts and what they deserve, Nick Aldis is the SmackDown general manager. Delighted for him. Honestly, over the moon for Nick Aldis. It's lovely. He looked fantastic on Friday.
Yeah.
What a suit. You know, my bread's not buttered that side, but a chap like him could turn a guy's head.
Yeah.
And he looked great in the role. And in terms of
so William Regal.
But in terms of sort of what his role is going forward, he was working as a producer. He was shadowing a bit in the weeks that led up to that debut. What says Fightful Select on the backstage role of Nick Aldis?
They say that recently, the latest is, he produced a match on Main Event between Nathan Fraser and Akira Tozawa, which took place at the Raw tapings. So just to really reinforce the point that he's kind of pulling double duty, isn't he? He's in an on-screen role as the SmackDown GM, but also in an off-screen role as a producer. Best of luck to him.
Yeah, he will continue his role as a producer, but then on a Friday night, he'll put his acting hat on, he'll put his GM hat on, and he'll be the general manager as well.
And I'm glad, because Adam Pearce, he was getting stressed. He's been carrying a heavy load for a long time now.
I hope his wages don't suffer as a result of it.
Yes,
though.
absolutely.
Because obviously, I hope he was being, if he was being paid double, I hope that.
Are they a bit of a dream match? Those two.
Former NWA World Champions.
Survivor Series just around the corner, where brands collide. Oh, book Nick Aldis versus
Maybe
Adam
the future.
Pearce.
Maybe the future under Triple H is you can only be a general manager if you're a grizzled former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion.
That's very Triple H. He would love that.
It
Yeah.
flipping well is.
Yeah.
I am buzzing to
If
see.
only just so that he could somehow try and wangle himself a title reign out of it as well. Because
Maybe, that's what he's doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
He wants the £10 of gold.
He does. He really does.
Good lad.
I bet Triple H really does want the £10 of gold.
Of course he does. He wants
Yeah.
at least a picture with it.
He loves Harley Race and that. Yeah.
Trevor Murdoch pointing at him. When Trevor Murdoch becomes the GM of NXT.
Yes, absolutely.
Cowards. We'll have more wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com and on the podcast feed. A brand new episode of Desert Island Graps. I'm having a wonderful chat with Vinny Pacifico, who is a bit of an indie darling on the rise up. He's been an AEW, he's been an NXT. He recently debuted for New Japan. He's all over the place. He's a G Fuel sponsored professional wrestler.
Oh, good.
And my God, does G Fuel pump through that man's veins instead of blood?
Okay.
I never thought I'd meet somebody who could match my energy.
Oh, this is gonna be like a best of the Super Juniors match in podcast form.
It flipping well is. He's a lovely guy. You'll fall in love with him as well. It's on the podcast feed later. And if you're a Patreon, and thank you for being a Patreon, you can watch the video version at patreon.com/cultaholic later on as well. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.